Hello friends, welcome to Tarun IAS. Today we will be discussing daily current affairs of 30th of November 2022. So let's start with first news of the day. The first news of the day is about the black corals. Now let us see what black corals are and why they were in news. Researchers at the Smithsonian Institute of Washington have discovered 5 new species of black corals living as deep as 2,500 feet, which is approximately 760 meters below the surface in the Great Barrier Reef and Coral Sea off the coast of Australia. All right, so this is the reason why black corals have been in news, because 5 new species of black corals have been discovered. So black corals, they are known as Antipatheria or thorn corals. They are an order of soft, deep water corals. These corals, they can be recognized because of their jet black or dark brown chitin skeleton. Chitin is that one substance which is found over the body of insects, right? Because we know insects, they have exoskeleton, and chitin is that substance which makes up these exoskeleton of insects. So the exoskeleton of corals is made up of this substance called chitin, which is then surrounded by polyps, which are part of the coral that is alive. So we know that corals, they have two parts. They consist of the reef building part, which is made up of calcium carbonate, and we also have living organism residing within the corals called as zooxanthella. So these zooxanthellae, they constitute the living part of the corals. All right, and we have the hard skeleton made up of chitin. So black corals, they can be found growing on both shallow water and down to depths of over 26,000 feet, that is 8,000 meters approximately. And some of the individuals coral can live they can live for over 4,000 years. Now generally, if you look at the conditions at which the corals survive, then they usually survive in clean and shallow water, where there is a sunlight, and with approximate temperature of 25 degrees Celsius on an average. When the sea surface temperature is 25 degrees Celsius, the corals can survive. Above this temperature, the corals usually die. And what do we mean? And this event is known as the bleaching of corals. And why? What do we mean by bleaching of corals? It means that zooxanthella, which is the living part of the corals, it has separated from the polyp. It has separated from what? It has separated from the polyp. So if this is how the coral looks like, then in the veins there are present zooxanthella. And when these zooxanthella, they leave the coral, it becomes colorless, and thus giving the name of the event as bleaching of corals, because the color has been removed, right? And the color was imparted by the zooxanthella, which is the living part, right? Now when we speak of the black corals, they can produce sexually as well as asexually throughout their lifetime. Sexually by involving gametes, and asexually by involving probably spores, or it could be budding or binary fission, whatever the mechanism they use. So these are the three important asexual mode of reproduction. Many of the corals, they are branched and they look like feathers. They can look like fans or bushes, for example. They can be, they can look like this as well. And while others are state like whip, like this. So, unlike the colorful corals, they rely on the sun and photosynthesis for energy. Black corals are filter feeders. Now, there is one very important difference between the black corals and the colorful corals. The colorful corals, they rely on photosynthesis for their food production, whereas the black corals, they are filter feeders. And what do we mean by filter feeders is, you see, the marine organisms, those who reside in sea or in oceans, they they have incoming water, and with that incoming water comes the tiny zooplanktons. Zooplanktons, they are the organisms, small organisms, which are mostly floating on the sea surface or ocean surface, right? Surface of the water body. So these zooplanktons and small organic material comes along with the incoming water or the incurrent water, and these organisms then filter out the organic material or the zooplanktons from the inflow from the incoming water. So this technique, or this is what is known as the filter feeder. All right, now let us talk about the uses. Though they have historically been used by the Islanders for the medical treatment and in rituals, but in modern times they have been used for making jewelry. So this is where the significance of black corals comes into picture. They are important habitat also. Generally, corals, they provide habitat to the fishes, right? And a group of fishes is known as school. So basically, a school reside in corals. So coral itself is an ecosystem. They provide habitat to the invertebrates, and they which help them hide from the predators. And otherwise, the sea floor is mostly barren. So the habitat at the sea floor is provided by these corals, whether they are colorful corals or whether they are black corals. Now, what is the recent concern regarding the coral? Apart from the findings that the five new species have been discovered, the concern is that they are declining in number, and with the continued practice of poaching, practice of poaching, they are they are expected to be declined further. Ocean acidification, which is one of the consequence of the climate change, then climate change at large, these are all the reasons why there have been a decline in the numbers of the black corals. All right, so next news of the day is about the global snow leopard ecosystem protection program. The Global Snow Leopard Ecosystem Protection Program, or GSLEP, was in news because the Indian scientists, they have recently received international award on behalf of the leopard Snow Leopard Conservation Alliance. Snow leopard, found in India in the region of Ladakh, Himachal, Sikkim, etc. Starting from the eastern Himalayas, right, up to Ladakh area, including Himachal, Uttarakhand, etc., etc. So these are the areas where snow leopard is found. It is also known as the ghost of mountain. It is also known as ghost of mountain, right? Because it can easily hide itself, or it can easily camouflage in snow. The snow leopard experts, they have received this Madrid-based BBVA Foundation's Worldwide Biodiversity Conservation Award on behalf of a 12-nation intergovernmental alliance, the Global Snow Leopard Ecosystem Protection Program. GSLB is the first of its kind intergovernmental alliance. So if a question in prelims is asked whether it is a not for profit organization or it is an intergovernmental alliance, etc., etc., so GSLP is an intergovernmental alliance for the conservation of the snow leopard and its unique ecosystem. It is led by the environment ministers of 12 countries in Asia that from the home range of the snow leopard. Now let us look at the countries which forms the home range of snow leopard. These are Afghanistan, Bhutan, China, India, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Mongolia, Nepal, Pakistan, Russia, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan. The total range spans to 2 million square kilometers. The GSLB program secretariat is located in Bishkek, and it is hosted by the Ministry of Natural Resources, Ecology and Technical Supervision of the Kyrgyz Republic, that is Kyrgyzstan. Okay. It was created in the year 2013 when the officials and the political leaders and conservationists, they arrived at a common conservation strategy which was enshrined in the Bishkek Declaration to cooperate in the conservation of this species and its habitat. The next news of the day is about the bull taming sport. So this is the picture of Jallikattu. This is the picture of Jallikattu. The bull taming sport. Now, recently, why this bull taming sport was in news? Because an activist asked by Supreme Court on Tuesday that what they found wrong in Tamil Nadu's Jallikattu law when it protects the animal from unnecessary pain and sought to preserve the culture and tradition of the people in the state. See, bull taming sport is not a new sport. It is a traditional and centuries old sport where a person tries to tame a bull. However, this practice in modern times has seen a certain level of corruption which kind of gives pain to the animal. For example, giving alcohol to the bull, putting red chili powder in the eyes of the bull to make it more aggressive, so that they can perform perform and show their taming skills, right? So that is the reason why there have been demand from the animal activists that these kind of traditional sports which involves animals should be completely banned. However, there is other side as well, and we have to look it from the conservation perspective. So these bull taming sport, if done properly and if done in the right way, then they also conserve the indigenous breeds of cattle. So that is the reason why, to protect the animal, to protect the culture and the tradition, we have to have a law which not only which caters to the need of the tradition, and as well as it upholds the rights of animals. All right. So that is the reason why this was in news. Now let us talk about the Jallikattu. Basically, it's a 2000-year-old tradition and it is a competitive sport. It does not have only one participant but many participants, which tries to tame the bull in order to have access to the or gain access to the prize money, which is generally tied to the horn of the bull, or to the tail of the bull, etc., etc. It generally consists of the prize in the form of, earlier they used to be kind, but these days there are cash. There is money prize, etc., etc. So it is this bull taming sport is popular in the region of Madurai, Tiruchirappalli, Theni, Pudukkottai, Dindigul district of Tamil Nadu, which is known as the Jallikattu belt of the state. It is celebrated in the second week of January, which is the Tamil Nadu Harvest Festival, that is Pongal. So during the time of Pongal, this bull taming exercise or bull taming sport is practiced. It is considered as a traditional way of for the peasant community to preserve their pure breed native bulls. Now, why it is considered as a preservation technique? Because farmers, or these peasants, they throughout the year, they keep their bull healthy, they keep their bull in the competitive spirit and the competitive state of mind and physical health, and thereafter a time comes when they participate along with their bull in the bull taming sport. So it's a sort of a preservation. Otherwise, nobody is interested in taking care of the cattle. With the rising pace of modernization, the traditional breeds, their importance or their significance is declining. So therefore, in order to preserve these indigenous breeds of cattle, we have to have certain traditional sports alive. However, the point here is that we have to set a limit. That sports should be there, but it should not cause pain to the animal, and it should not cause any injury to the animal, right? So their rights should also be taken care of. Not in the name of conservation and preservation, we humans do not have the right to violate the rights of animals. So at a time when a cattle breeding is often an artificial process, the conservationists and the peasants, they argue that Jallikattu is a way to protect these male animals which are otherwise used only for meat if they are not plogging, and they are rendered as stray animals. So if they lack the commercial importance, or if their commercial importance declines, the human being, they leave them at the mercy of the nature. So there are some popular native cattle breeds which are used in Jallikattu. These are Ambalacheri, Bargur, Malai Maddu, Pulikulam and Kangayam. These are some of the native breeds which are used in the bull taming sports. The owner of these premium breeds command respect locally. However, according to Article 29, it mandates that any now why Jallikattu has to be preserved, why people are saying that there have to be their tradition and their culture needs preservation or conservation, because of the Article 29, which says that any section of the citizens residing in the territory of India or any part thereof having a distinct language, script, culture of its own shall have the right to conserve the same. Right. Karnataka too passed a law to save a similar sport called Kambala. So there is another bull taming sport in India, in Karnataka, in the state of Karnataka, that is Kambala. Except for in Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, where bull taming and racing continues to be organized, these practices, however, have been banned in certain states such as Andhra Pradesh, Punjab, and Maharashtra due to 2014 ban order from the Supreme Court. All right, except for Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, in these states, the sports involving the animals and birds, they have been banned. For example, in the Punjab region, there used to be a sport called cockfight. Right, right. So now, and for example, in Spain, there is a bull race. You know, this is a famous tradition sport in Spain. The next news of the day is about ambition on melting ice group. See, at COP27, a broad coalition of 18 governments led by the two polar and mountain nations of Chile and Iceland joined together to create a new high-level group ambition on melting ice on sea level rise and mountain water resources. Now, why this is important? With the rising climate change, there is a possibility that the glaciers are going to melt, and once the glaciers they started to melt, there will be a rise in sea level water, and this is going to have bad repercussions for mankind and as well as for other living organisms. Rising sea level poses a threat to the sustainable living on land as well as under the water. Right, so therefore there is a need that we preserve these glaciers and we preserve or prevent the melting of ice. Right, so in order to ensure that the cryosphere laws are understood by the political leaders and the public, not only within the mountain and polar regions but throughout the planet, and some of the countries who are participating in this ambition on melting ice group is Chile, uh, Iceland, Peru, Czech Republic, Nepal, Finland, Senegal, Kyrgyz Republic, Samoa, Georgia, Switzerland, New Zealand, Monaco, Vanuatu, Sweden, Tanzania, Liberia, Norway, and Mexico. The AMI declaration is signed. The declaration at the COP27 of the UNFCCC, which has just concluded in Egypt at Sharm el Sheikh. The declaration of the group it focuses on the role of the cryosphere laws, in particular in causing sea level rise that would threaten the coastal communities, the island nations, and the low-lying regions of the countries. What do we mean by cryosphere that has been in news? So, cryosphere means ice globe, right? Which is a common term used for the regions of our globe which are permanently or perennially snow covered. Right? They can be They can be seasonally as well as year round. That means both the type of cryospheres are included under this group. So currently the cryosphere includes 15% of the earth's surface, which includes ice sheet, glaciers, snow, permafrost, that is the frozen ground which is frozen for 2 or more consecutive years is known as the permafrost. Right, that means the moisture within the soil it freezes, so therefore what we have is a permafrost generally seen in the alpine regions. So the sea ice, the ice shelves, and the two great polar oceans, the Arctic Ocean and the Southern Ocean. The climate change is happening in the cryosphere faster and more dramatically than anywhere else on the earth. So therefore there is a need to protect the cryosphere and permafrost. The next news of the day is about the carbon capture and storage technology. Now, what is this carbon capture and storage technology? In order to limit the carbon dioxide emission, we have to capture the carbon which has been emitted, and carbon capturing can be done in various ways. It can be captured, and once it is captured it has to be stored. So therefore we have two technologies: the technology which captures the carbon which is emitted, and the technology which stores that captured carbon. All right. So why this was in news? Because recently Niti Aayog had said that there is a need to decarbonize the industrial emission. So the report which was released here on Tuesday by Niti Aayog vice chairman said that the carbon capture and utilization and storage technology would help in promoting the low carbon hydrogen economy and in the removal of the carbon dioxide stock from the atmosphere. So keeping in with the demands of the objectives that were announced by the Prime Minister at COP26, we have to transit towards the green technology for energy production, and therefore this energy can be derived from the hydrogen. However, the hydrogen is produced from various methods, and one of the method of producing hydrogen involves carbon emissions. So therefore, in that method we have to implement the technology, that is carbon capture, utilization and storage technology. So in order to promote hydrogen economy in our country, we need to have alternative technologies ready so as to tackle with the spillover effects, the negative spillover effects. All right. So, the carbon capture, utilization, and storage technology, which is going to decarbonize the emission from the high polluting sectors such as steel, cement, oil, gas, petrochemicals, chemicals, and fertilizers, they have a critical role to play for the country to halve the carbon dioxide emission by the year 2050. And India's aim to become carbon neutral is 2070. So by 2070 India aims to become carbon neutral. It could enable the products of clean products while utilizing the rich endowments of coal, reducing the imports of coal, and thus leading to a self-reliant technology. Now let us see that how carbon can be captured by three different ways. The first is the post combustion capture, in which carbon is isolated when the fossil fuels are burned, and this process is employed in fossil fuel based power plants. Carbon dioxide is recovered from the flue gases at the power plant or the other point sources. In this form, the power facilities may be upgraded to integrate the carbon capture storage technology. That means it is separated and then it is captured. So this is what the technology is, that is post combustion capture. Then there is a pre combustion capture. Now what is this? It is mainly used in the fertilizer, chemical and gaseous fuel manufacturing, as well as in power generation. Now what happens? The fossil fuels is partially oxidized in these applications, such as for example in gasifiers, it is partially oxidized, and the carbon monoxide, which is the resultant syngas. So one of the components, syngas means the synthesis gas. So one of the component of syngas is carbon monoxide, and syngas is produced when there is a partial oxidization. So that is the process in which carbon monoxide is produced, and when we have complete combustion or complete oxidation, we have carbon dioxide as the byproduct. Otherwise we have carbon monoxide in case of partial oxidation. So when the fossil fuel undergoes partial oxidation, it produces syngas, which is then combines with the steam in order to produce carbon dioxide and hydrogen. A sufficiently clean exhaust stream can be used to collect the carbon dioxide. This carbon dioxide is eliminated before burning, and therefore so that we can utilize hydrogen, which is produced as a byproduct in our energy generation. The third part is the oxy-fuel combustion. In this, what happens? Instead of the air used for combustion, we use pure oxygen. That is nascent oxygen, which is written as this, which is written like this. So pure oxygen is used for combustion, which produces carbon dioxide and water vapor. which makes up the majority of the flue gas. It is known as flue gas. And then the flue gas is condenses, it is cooled. So when a gas is condensed, it turns into liquid. So condensation, the process of condensation means change of stage from gas to liquid. All right, so gas is then condensed. So as a result of it, the carbon dioxide stream is nearly pure. So zero emission cycles are used to describe the power plant that uses only oxygen fuel combustion. So they are zero emissions. So there is a pure line of carbon dioxide which can be then captured. All right. So these are some of the storage methods. After capturing the carbon dioxide, we have to store it. That is the reason why the technology is carbon capture, utilization and storage. So in what mode we can store carbon dioxide? There can be geological storage. For example, the underground caverns. So these are small creeks or small cracks underground the rocks. There we can store the carbon dioxide. The enhanced oil recovery, for example, we can store carbon dioxide in algae and bacteria. If we are going to suppose if there is a increased pace of plantation, so plants also capture what? Carbon dioxide. So plants or forest, they are basically acting as the sink for carbon dioxide. So sink means it is being stored there, right? Mineral storage is also there, and forest sequestration, just as I explained to you. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching Tarun IAS. If you want to download the PDF of this session, you can go to the Telegram channel. The link will be given in the description below. Have a nice day.